Ymedia Group, the fastest growing media group in North America.
Potential 25% Trump tariffs mean starting February 1st, 2025. Well, Canada and US have the longest border. There is 1,200 ports of entry across the country, 8,500 frontline employees at CBSA, a daily flow of 400,000 people cross that border, and billions of dollars in goods and services are crossing the land border between Canada and the United States. Every day, $3.6 billion in goods cross the US-Canada border, fueling $1.3 trillion annual trade relationship. That is 1.4 million American jobs tied to Canadian exports. How many companies will be affected? Well, 46,000 companies are set to be affected if the tariffs are in place. That is also 2.3 million Canadian jobs that are tied to the US. Exports, nearly 10% of the total employment will be directly impacted. What does that mean? That's 3.7 million jobs between the two countries. Now, 1 million jobs alone in Ontario is what's projected that are tied to US trade. Canadian oil may receive a carve-out from tariffs, but that's yet to be seen. If that doesn't happen, well, we're looking at 300,000 jobs in Alberta that are tied to these exports. The industries that will be hit the most will be energy, auto sector, agriculture, and consumer goods. 75% of Canada's exports are to the United States. In contrast, 17% of US exports are to Canada. In 2023, the numbers showed that 60% of crude oil imported to the United States. Meanwhile, Canada provided 99% of US imported supply of natural gas. Should the US impose a 25% tariff on these imports, or Canadian restricts its oil exports as a retaliatory measure, then that alone would mean immediate price impact and hikes on US consumers. Now, Donald Trump says he doesn't care. He does not need Canadian oil or energy. The Canadian Vehicle Manufacturing Association have also calculated that 92% of Canada's motor vehicle exports went to the United States back in 2022. The border, as many, the goods between the countries when it comes to the auto sector in terms of auto parts cross as up to 8 times before the final assembly line. Donald Trump did say that he doesn't need Canadian cars and that those manufacturing plants can go up in places like Windsor or South Carolina. Now, in 2022, Canada's total forestry exports were valued at $45.6 billion, with majority of it going to the United States. That's, again, another issue when it comes to that cross-border exports. Now, when it comes to getting a better picture of what it means once measured shares in GDP, well, exports from Canada and Mexico to the United States account for roughly 19% and 26% of their economies. However, combined, the US exports to these two countries, such as Canada and Mexico, they account for a little more than 2% of its GDP. So stark contrast when it comes to what it means for the United States versus what it means for Canada and Mexico. Now, Trump did reiterate that US has trade deficit with Canada for about $200 billion to $250 billion. That number is not accurate. The trade deficit actually with Canada is expected to be $45 billion in 2024, and that is mostly driven by US energy demands. Now, the United States does have the largest trade deficit in the world. That is true, what Trump is saying. In 2023, the trade deficit was $773.4 billion. The amount of exports were just $3 billion. The largest exports of the United States were cars, food, and commercial aircraft. The largest imports were cell phones, oils, and car. A 25% tariff could shrink Canada's GDP by 2.6%, costing Canadian households an average of $1,900 annually. For the United States, this would mean about a 1.6% GDP drop, with families losing $1,300 per year. Beyond the economic impact, tariffs would disrupt industries in many of those sectors, and of course, everyone else where would be specific jobs in those industries would be hit, but also the economy as a whole.
Ymedia Group, the fastest growing media group in North America.